Okay, time for some extensions. So if your students have the skills and the ability to go even further, what you can have them do is you can have them change this to a different animal or plant. We have embedded some images of the frog life cycle, or we've also embedded images of an apple tree life cycle. And a way to know what that looks like is by going to costumes. And when you do, there are all these different costumes you can look at. So we've seen all of these, but then there's also apple seeds. So these are some images of an apple life cycle. And then there are a couple of images of a frog life cycle that you can use. You can also upload your own, right? If it's a different life cycle, you can definitely upload your own images. So if you want your students to apply their knowledge to a different life cycle, they can definitely do that. If I wanted my egg to explain something and to say, this is phase 1 and I'm a monarch egg, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the left-hand side, and this is my palette, and I'm going to go to looks. So it's the purplish looking, purple blue, and I'm going to say hello for 2 seconds. So I'm going to modify that. And I don't want it to say hello. Maybe I want it to say, this is phase 1 when I'm an egg. And let's see, it's going to say it for 2 seconds. And let's see what that looks like. So again, I'm just going to test it by clicking on this section of code. And if you see, it's highlighted all throughout in yellow. So let's test it. Oh, this is phase 1 when I'm an egg. So I know it's a little small to see, so let's increase that. So if you can see, there is some text that is happening there. Now let's say maybe we want to add some sound. You can definitely do that. So if you go to sounds, right here, again, go back to the left-hand side where the palette of colors are and click the purple. And maybe you want it to, play a pop sound, and you can change these sounds, right? You can record your voice as well. So maybe you want it to play after it switches the costume. And it's just going to be popping until it's done. So if I was to move this, it stops popping. I also wanted to take a moment to give you a couple of tips. When you have the blocks on the side, an easy way to make copies. So for example, if there were more than 4 phases, what I can do is I can right click and I can duplicate. And what's nice is that it duplicates the entire block, or if I only need a section of it, I can take that out and I can also duplicate it. And then you can, again, insert it into where you need. Another tip is you can delete unwanted blocks by either right-clicking and deleting the 4 blocks, or one of my favorites is just dragging it to the left-hand side and dropping it to where the other blocks are, and it disappears. So again, I'm going to drag it and then drop it, and it disappears. One last tip that I will say is if your life cycle is more than 4 phases, you want to make sure that your slider represents that. So a way to do that is by right-clicking, and there are different options. If you see here, you want to select Change Slider Range. When you do that, you're able to add a minimum and a maximum value. So again, if the phases of the life cycle you're looking at are 6, then you want to make sure that the max value is 6. Otherwise, it's going to stop at 4. And now if we test it, it should go to 6, and it does.
Explore more resources, ideas, and lessons at thetech.org/resources.